attending. I appreciate you giving up some of your time and really appreciate our presenters that we've got today. So we all know Rob from Manly, who will be talking about his World Championship success and his motivations in the pool, with the help of Rowan, who is our author of Your Story, Your Story Superpower. So thank you both.
Thanks so much for Rob for being here. But thanks everybody. I'll just tell you what we'll do. So I'm obviously going to chat to Rob. We'll chat for about 30, 40 odd minutes, depending on how we go, and then afterwards everybody can pitch on in. If you want to interject in between, feel free. Don't be shy. So when initially I was given this task by Jacinta, I did some Googling, and I think the key today is to actually discover the real Robert Butcher, because there is another Robert Butcher. So don't go Googling, because what you're going to find out is something that's wrong, which is that he's actually been back swimming for decades. That is a lie. And that's actually the most interesting thing about today, because when I was chatting with Rob about it, what I kept looking for, and I'll get to the successes in a sec, is how he's done it, because what he's done is pretty epic, and I think the interesting thing for all of us is here to try to, no doubt as fellow swimmers, is to go, shit, how did he do it? Is there some secret magic sauce? What's he been eating? What's he been, how did he sleep 4 hours a night? What is it? I can pretty much tell you, I think you're going to leave feeling slightly confused, because his approach is not textbook. Would you agree with that?
No, it's fair to say.
That's fair to say.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's begin with the accolades of what Rob's done in the last very short 2 years. So currently he's the holder of 12 national records for the 70 to 74 year age group. Long course for the 100, the 200, the 400, the 800, the 1500 metre freestyle, and the 50 metre butterfly. For short course for the 50, the 100, the 200, the 400, the 1500 free, and the 50 metre butterfly. The World Masters Champs in Singapore, first in 100 metres freestyle, championship record, second in the 200 and 800 free, third in the 50 free. But here's their national records in the 1, 2, 8 free and 50 fly. But here's the interesting one, which I think is kind of, especially for freestylers in the room, is going to really mess with your head, is that in the nationals last year, which was the first nationals Rob had done since you were 16. Yeah, correct?
Yeah.
He manages to get first in the 50, the 100, the 200, the 400, the 800, and also you didn't mention it, but it was the 1500 as well.
No, there was no 1500.
In the 800, yeah. Exactly. If there was, he would have.
I'm not implying I was going to win that.
He would have, and he got national records in the 1, 2, 4, 8. Yeah, so let's take it there from the start, because no doubt you're going, how the hell's he done that? Tell us about when you got back in the pool. How long ago was that?
That was in late 2022.
Yeah.
So I don't know what motivated me to do that. I think I say to myself, I play golf, and that's a very sort of, that can lower your self-esteem. So I thought, why don't you do something that you're good at? So I decided I'd take a swim.
But then again, you hadn't, so give us your pedigree, because no doubt everybody's also going, was he a great swimmer when you were a kid? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started swimming when I was 8. My dad worked in the Air Force over at Eastvale, Amberley. So I started swimming at 8. I was swimming under a coach called John Carew, who a few of you might know. He coached Thorpe and people like that.
Yep.
I was just digging out this morning, actually. I've got a couple of, as an 8-year-old, I broke the state record for 50 freestyle, which I seriously didn't realise until I dug these certificates out.
So it's 36 point what?
36.7, yeah.
For an 8-year-old?
Yeah, a 9-year-old.
9-year-old,
yeah. So this is my visual contribution to the... There's no screens.
The one prop.
These are quite old.
Which makes this a multimedia presentation.
It does. So the other funny thing is that there's one here for the backstroke as well, a metropolitan record. So yeah, so I started off, I think that might have actually been the highlight of my career, I'm not sure. But yeah, that was my beginning. I did well as a kid, particularly in primary school. When we talked the other day, I've done a bit more research on this. I did win the 50 butterfly in the state school, secondary school championships.
Yep.
And then I went to the nationals in 1971, but not part of the. I wasn't selected as part of the A team. I was,
Self-funded.
Yeah, self-funded. So my dad said to me, I think he'd already sort of sensed that my swimming I was losing a bit of enthusiasm. So he said to me, look, I'll send you down to Hobart for national titles. I was in the camp with the proper team, but no, it was a fantastic experience. But I was never going to make it. I think I made one final down there, but I represented. Well, I was a junior, but also had qualified for quite a few of the senior events.
Yep.
At the national titles. So yeah, and then after that, basically.
That was it?
That was it.
Okay, so an interesting thing maybe is a character reference. So why did you stop? So at 16, I remember you telling me at 16, you were actually swimming in the age champs, but also the open champs, which is a hell of a thing because there's a massive difference between the age competitive times and the open competitive times. Why at that point at 16 did you go bugger it?
Well, I think I knew I was never going to make it.
And what for you was make it? Like, what did that mean?
Become an elite swimmer who, 71 obviously wasn't a selection trial for any further things, but I was never going to make that, and I thought, well, I'd probably achieve everything that I was going to achieve out of swimming. I think that was primarily the reason. And I was just sick of swimming in a way too, because swimming can be. I'm motivated by swimming at the moment because I'm thinking about stuff and working on the technique, and it brings me back, and I can really feel the difference in the day. I can't remember anybody really telling me how to improve the stroke. It was all just. After that was Arthur Cusack, who by the next coach, he was just a mean guy. Swimming, going to 8-200 butterfly and all this sort of stuff. So it just it was just and I was only in year 11 at the time, so I wanted to focus a little bit on studies as well. So I'm not too sure. I think I was just sick of it. Is probably the main reason.
But
can I just ask? For 40 years, you didn't swim again, really?
I swum once. But over this intervening period, I have always swum, but it might be once every 6 months, once every month, once every week. I've always, but I'm a keen surfer.
Very keen surfer.
I've always been on the water, always lived on the coast, and I've always surfed. So it's probably kept me reasonably. Surfing, I'd be, I'm not doing much surfing at the moment, but I'd be surfing a couple, 2 or 3 times a week probably, which probably kept me reasonably fit.
Okay, so what then triggers you at the tender age of 67 to go, I think I'll give it a shot?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was swimming. I was down at Andrew Roy Charlton. I saw the sign up on the wall about the Warringah Masters thing. But no, I think I was just looking for something. I'd retired. I was playing golf. I'm surfing. I travelled a lot with my wife. We travelled around Australia in 2024. But I was just looking for something to do. And I seriously had no aspirations. I thought I'll just give this a crack, and then just some training first of all. I hadn't even thought about going into masters, but then I decided that's what I'd do, but didn't really have any.
And I remember you said you didn't have any goals. Like when you came back into it, you were let's just get back in the pool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
I started swimming, and then I discovered this online ranking system and realised I wasn't doing too bad.
Exactly. There's nothing like a bit of instant stardom to start pushing you along.
That's right, yeah. At that stage, it's a bit like the Formula One I was telling the rest of it. When I first looked up the rankings, none of the big guys had actually gone on the track yet. Like Paul Blackbeard and all those guys are about 3 years young, and the other Robert Butcher and a few others who are about 3 years younger than me. So that sort of, I thought, oh great,
this is a game.
Fun.
This is fun. And what at that at that point, what sort of amount of training were you doing? What were you doing to already? And at that point, you were already. How were you ranking at that point? You were definitely top 5, if not more.
Yeah, I was probably 3, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, ranking at 3 at that stage, and my training was very light on. It was I was probably training 3 times a week and doing 2Ks maybe.
Yeah, and that was squad training.
Yes, I started myself first of all, and I went to squads for about 12 months at the Sunday morning squads.
Yep.
Or maybe not 12 months. But then I sort of did start swimming more on my own, mainly to give myself time to think about what I was doing, I think, from a sort of technique point of view and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, in talking with Rob, the thing is that there's no, like I said, there's no perfect answer here. I don't think Rob is not typical of a textbook of what you're supposed to do. For example, at the moment, have you still walked into a gym yet or not?
No, but I've started.
I'm hearing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Do not take this as a lesson of what to do.
Under Lauren's expert guidance, I have started some resistance training, but no, I still haven't gone to a gym. But my daughter is giving me some. I'm doing the exercises that Lauren's giving me, and it actually feels really good. But no, you're right. I haven't. I might have been in a gym once in my life, I think.
Yeah. So at the moment, he's only at about 40-50% of where he should be.
Having said that, I do.
You've got your own weights.
I did exercise, but they're only 4 kilo and 2 kilo weights, really for mobility more than anything else, because I felt swimming a lot of freestyle and butterfly, just needs your body to, all the muscles to be exercised. So it wasn't really any resistance training as such. But
can I ask a question? When you were like 15 or 16 or 17 training then,
yeah,
was stretching a big part of what you used to do in those days?
No, it wasn't. All I can remember, I swam 7 days a week, once in the evening for probably about an hour and a half, which in today's standards I think is probably not a lot. Yeah. But I can remember having a metal pulley that I used to put in the wall and do that sort of stuff.
But what about today, like now in the last 2 years? Do you do stretching?
Yes, I do, yeah. So stretching, I stretch my glutes and all.
When do you do that?
I do it, part of my mobility exercises is also a bit of stretching, it's not very sophisticated, but it's stretching my glutes and stretching my, yeah.
So who told you how to do that?
YouTube.
But the thing in my discussions with you, Rob, the thing that in me trying to do exactly what Jorian's doing, which is how the hell's he done it,
Yeah.
the thing that seemed to unearth itself for you is technique.
Yeah, technique and the amount of training. As I say, I know what I did,
Yeah.
and it worked. And I think a combo really of technique. I really, for example, my training, you asked what training was I doing, I was probably doing 3 days a week, 2Ks, but when it came to mid-2024 where I had the Pan Pacs, the state championships in 2025, the nationals and the world championships, I really started to ramp up. So really, by that stage I was swimming 3Ks a week, and it was generally probably, it might be something like 3 400s or 8 200s, 600s of kick and medley and butterfly and backstroke sort of interspersed into things, 8 or 10 100s and some 50s, and that could be in any particular order. But
And this is you doing this on your own?
Yes, primarily, yeah. Because one of the reasons I swam, I wanted to build endurance, and I think that's probably something I needed to, swim longer, a lot of 400s and all that sort of stuff. Because I, up until 2024, really hadn't swum anything over 400.
Well, you thought you were a sprinter.
I did, yeah. So, but
He is.
He is, sorry, he is as well. But although he hasn't yet cracked the 50-40.
no, that's true.
So it's his weak point, I would suggest.
I'm depending upon Lauren to achieve that.
Okay. You're going to go to the gym.
Yeah, totally.
But I think So I had basically the same program, but coming up to the Pan Pacs, I think I was probably swimming 5 times a week, 3Ks, but the intensity was also going up basically. And when I had a really good Pan Pacific Games where at 3 of the events, I think the 100, 200, well, 2 of them at least, I was 69 at the time, went under the 70 record. So I was feeling really good. Yeah, I thought, well, you can do this. And then I basically, kept on ramping up the frequency of I was swimming, keeping primarily the same program, but also ramping up the intensity as well. I was, they talk about all these different levels of anaerobic and VO2 max where the lactic acid kicks in, and then threshold and aerobic or what. I was swimming mostly in that threshold type thing where I wasn't sort of freaking out and, But I had a goal really by probably the nationals and particularly the world championships of the intensity I was trying to swim. For example, if I swam my 200 in 2:30, I'd be trying to swim my hundreds on a pretty generous cycle at about half that. And same with 400. If I swim a 400 in 5:20, I was trying to swim my 200s in 2:40, and that was very difficult for me. I only really achieved that just prior to the Worlds when they closed Man Andrew or Charlton when I trained down here. That obviously 25 makes you a little bit quicker as well, but I felt, so that was really the approach that I took. And that's the training side of things. And on the technique side of things, sorry, I'm waffling.
No, not waffling at all.
I did, when I started, I did go to, Lauren, you were saying you went to effortless swimming. I did as well, and it's amazing. My stroke was, I was still swimming some pretty good times when I started. My stroke was terrible. I was going, over here, and my left arm was pushing sideways. So, I did work on that. I worked with a lady called Claire Owen who runs a thing called Swim Lab at Surrey Hills, and she was really good. Took a while. She was very patient, telling me to slow down because I just don't. I'm a fast tempo swimmer basically. And she was telling me that I frustrated the hell out of her. But anyway, she went through the whole technique thing as well. I've still got a long way to go on my technique, by the way. But she started off with alignment, head position.
So take that. Take for everybody here. Take it slowly, maybe for each of those individual bits and tell us a bit about what Claire and you didn't think you were doing so well, and how did you correct that? And which were the things that you thought made the big difference?
No, good question, because so initially the effortless swimming thing. What's the guy's name? He's really good. Mitch. Mitch. Like so all he said to me for a start was just to out there and just stay in those swim lanes, not come under your body. So that was my first thing. But Claire took me right back to the beginning, really, to look at my body alignment and head position, extension, rotation first up. That was one. I think there was sort of 4 things that I focused on in technique. The extension and rotation and good body alignment, looking at the bottom of the pool. And then there was breathing timing. My breathing timing was terrible. But when I swam, it was always, don't breathe and pull your hands like that. That was the way I was taught to swim.
Breathe
contemporary breathing has a breathe as early as you can to get your head back in the water as quickly as possible. That's still a bit of a challenge for me. So there was sort of the body alignment stuff, and that was, was all about. She didn't really get onto the early vertical forearm until later in the piece, but she was, just the trajectory of my arms and all that sort of stuff. And then the second thing we worked on was the breathing timing, but that was a hard nut to crack basically, because it's just embedded in me to breathe late, but I think I'm making some progress on that. And then she was also a big fan of front quadrant freestyle, 3/4 catch-up type thing. Particularly, because when I first spoke to her, she said, I can help you in the 200, 400, 800 possibly, but I'm probably not going to help you in the 100, particularly in the 50, So, once again, these things take a lot of time. I thought, I'm a golfer, you sort of do this, and all of a sudden, your golf swing's okay, whereas this swimming stuff can take 6 months, I think, to implement a change and get it into your muscle memory. It's an odd thing.
Well, in fact, you said that Claire said to you that basically we need 18 months. To get you to be in a good position.
Correct, because just moving on, so there's sort of the alignment, extension, rotation, head position, all that sort of stuff.
So talk about that 3/4 bit that you were talking about.
Yeah, so
front quadrant.
I think I think we all know like it's sort of 3/4 catch-up, catch-up's this, of course, so it's just backing off that a little bit. And it's basically, for those who may not know, it's having at least 2 hands in front of your shoulders during your stroke cycle at some stage, and also having one arm in front of your shoulders as well. And I think it just facilitates better rhythm, and it hopefully soon will fix my breathing problem as well. But so there was not a lot of focus on that. I'm quite convinced as well, and I've got it. I'm never going to be, a strong, long swimmer. I can be long, but I'm fast tempo and I'm not tall, so I think my front quadrant will be just front quadrant, I think.
Okay.
I've had to think about, well, here's the classical way of swimming, but how would I actually implement that into my...
For you.
For me. So...
Seems to be working.
Yes, it seems to be working. Although I still have a look at the Nationals, for example. I look at that and think, Robert, you haven't made much progress at all, but I'm sure I have. Particularly made, and so they're the first 2 things, and then there's front quadrant and early vertical forearm. The alignment was sort of one thing all by itself, and the other 3 are a bit mixed up in no particular order, but I think I'm quite convinced this early vertical forearm thing is the most important.
What about your kicking?
I haven't spent much time on kicking. Kicking, there's a few things out there that I still need to, but I am working through a process, and I think kicking's one of them. Diving and turning's another one that I really do need to
which the gym will probably make a big difference.
I hope so. I'll manage my expectations. Hopefully it'll make some improvement.
I mean, another thing that interested me was your actual breathing patterns within your races. Talk us through your breathing.
So I really don't know what to make of my breathing, because in freestyle, like at 50 freestyle, 25 I don't take a breath, 50 freestyle I'd probably take 4 breaths, I think, at best. But from the 100 onwards, I breathe every stroke.
That's right.
Including the 100.
And that includes off the wall as well. You're not head down doing a few strokes, you're actually breathing straight off.
I don't know whether it's probably a lack of training that I've done, but no, I can't, in say a 400 or an 800, turn, do a dolphin kick, keep my head down for a stroke. That will just totally exhaust me. So I just basically try and do the best I can, come around virtually straight up with as much propulsion as I can get out of it and breathe straight away. So I just think it's a reward thing, If I do underwater in a long distance, I'm toast. I'm thinking, I'm exhausted, That's just the way it is. But it's a bit of irony there, because I think I've got on the 50 reasonably good lung capacity, but if I try and hold my breath even for one stroke in the longer distances, doesn't work for me yet.
And you're saying, I think, off the blocks that you're slow.
Well, everybody tells me I am, So if anybody has an expert diving sort of instructor, please let me know. It's nothing I haven't really focused on it, but people tell me that I'm pretty slow off the blocks. But I'm hoping even getting a bit stronger in the legs might help that as well. So, but anyway, just on that technique. And the other funny thing I found, although everybody's all over this, is that I didn't start wearing those compression shorts until the beginning of last year. So I wore them for the first time in the state long course, I think, last year, and they made a big difference. They were a one-off. Like I'd been stuck my 200 freestyle at 232 for about 2.5 years, wasn't going anywhere, and then I swam the state long course and took 4 seconds off that time. And I reckon 2 of them were attributable to the compression shot. So I was just swimming in speedos, budgie smoke, that sort of thing, part of that. But Steve Di Lorenzo came up to me and said, "Rob, take a look around you." And I said, "Do you notice anything?" I said no, and he said, "Well, your opponents aren't going to tell you this, but you're the only one wearing budgie smoke."
And did you, in the way, and I can empathise, having started at a similar time, but whatever, 3 years ago, the first time you put those jams on, and you almost pull your shoulder out of its socket, and you need about 20 minutes in order to do it. Was that a bit of a shock to the system?
Yeah, it was, yeah. But it's amazing. The impact was. Once again, so these are only my observations on what's helping me improve. I'm not a qualified coach or anything. I'm just, these are my thoughts on. And it appears as though that was the case, that those.
They helped.
Yeah, they helped. Yeah, definitely. And then the other, because I was ramping up my the frequency of the training and the intensity of the training, and that just kept on sort of going on and on. But I tend, yeah.
Do you, with your training, and so sometimes I think I do a session where you do the session to survive it, yeah? So you pipe, and I'm speaking obviously very personally, so you've got certain times and distances, and so you pace yourself to survive those, right?
Yeah.
Not to thrive them.
Yeah.
And some days you do that, some days you try for the thrive side. What's your level of sort of intent when you're swimming? And because you're swimming on your own, it's a bit hard because you're only cheating yourself in a way rather than a coach or a squad. Talk to that about what you bring when you do each squad.
Well, at the moment, it all depends on where I am in the cycle, I think. At the moment, I'm not even timing myself. I'm just trying to get good structure or whatever. But but once I'm working up to an event, I think the length of what I swim gets shorter as well. If I'm coming up to, say, the Nationals, for example, I tend to swim, and once again, this is just me. It's not really based on any real logic.
I think you could write a book about it, Robert. I think you could sell a few copies considering.
No. But I tend to swim more 100s and 50s and a couple of tips. So really, and the intensity of those is higher. Yeah. So, but generally, and once again, there's no reason for this. I don't tend to swim one slow, one fast, that type of thing. It's all, I'm either swim the whole session in the threshold sort of zone, and when I'm getting closer to an event, I'm probably swimming in the threshold to sort of hurting type zone. But it's not hurting as much because I'm a lot fitter than I might have been. So once again, I'm not too sure the benefits of fitness versus technique. I don't know, but I suspect it's probably the fitness is the primary contributor to doing well.
So now, the other thing that you've been obviously, well, there's two sides. You haven't had any classic swimming injuries, but tell us about your preparation towards the Nationals and the big injury you did have, which stopped you for a while.
So my wife and I were travelling around Australia in our caravan, and we left in February 2024. This is when I was 69, and we decided we'd come back twice during the year. When we went to Perth, we travelled back to Sydney. I thought I'd swim in the state long course while I was home. But the day before that, I was out gardening and fell off the retaining wall and fractured my face in 5 places. So, and I was at Northern Beaches Hospital, and Greg Ty was there. He just looked at me and said, "I'll let them know you won't be there tomorrow."
And how much did that slow you down? Like, were you out of the water for?
So I was out of the water for about 6 weeks, I think. But it was mainly, I was more concerned about surfing at that stage, because I was sort of, when we travel around, I'd go for a surf where there was surf every now and again. So I was banned from surfing for quite, even more so. Swimming was okay. I think the doctor said I could probably get back into swimming in 4 or 5 weeks, but surfing longer, because if I duck dive under a wave, my hand slipped off my board and my face hit the board, that wouldn't be a good outcome. So yeah, that was a bit of a setback, in a way. But oddly enough, it wasn't all that much of a setback, strangely enough. Travelling around, as we all know, you'll find a pool somewhere. I might have been swimming in enclosures in South Australia and, memorial pools in Western Australia.
Yeah.
You just find somewhere to swim a couple of times a week. Yeah.
So where are you at now? What's happening for you now? So you're in you're 70 now. You're in your second year of the 70 to 74 category. What's the plan?
Well, the plan at the moment, I'm sort of in maintenance mode. I think someone told me that's the mode I'm in. I'm swimming about 3 days a week and probably 2.5 Ks.
Yep.
I've started my training, but yeah, so Lorenzo and I are going to Europe in March and April. She's going for a little bit longer, so I'm not sort of, and the Nationals, I'll be back for the Nationals at the end of April, but I don't think I'll be very, very fit, probably. And then I'm aiming this year to sort of go through a similar process to target the Pan-Pacific Games, and there's also the long course, and also our Manly Club event as well. So they're the ones I'll probably go through a similar process, but with a bit more, hopefully some stronger, better technique. Yeah. I'm hoping, you can't plan too far forward, as a lot of us know, but that's the plan at this stage. I might be kidding myself here, but I'd like to keep on improving if I can. Yeah.
So you want to keep bringing those times down rather than resetting for a 70 to 74 category and adjusting upward. You're still thinking downward.
Yeah, I am. Yep. Yeah, I might be deluding myself there, but that's what I'm planning to do. Yeah, there's still a little bit of low-hanging fruit, I think, in the dive and being stronger in the 50, and even I think my long distance might be more sustainable. I just need to see. I need sort of swimming occasionally just to get some feedback on how I'm going. But funnily enough, the performances aren't always all that flash, because I swam in the Pan Pacific Games. That went really well, and then I started swimming first up in 2025. Didn't go well. It was only things started going really well on the long course. So I don't know. It can't be pools. So I don't know what it is. So, swimming sort of a couple of seconds outside my PB from 100, for example. I don't know what that was.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes, I am enjoying it. Yeah, it's been good fun. It's been, I get a bit nervous before races and put a lot of expectations on myself. But, it's been great fun.
Rob, intrigued by the fact that from 60 years of age till 67, you haven't swum, consistent way whatsoever. You said once every blue moon. To me, the thing that resonates really big about you being able to come back and swim so well is your surfing. You've surfed pretty much all that time, non-stop.
Pretty much.
I think that's given you some massive strength. Massive,
Yeah, mate.
We're the same age, and that's 16. I can tell you, if you went out, paddle out for a surf, there wasn't too many people much older than about 25 to 30 out in the lineup.
Yeah.
So now it's totally different, and that generation's gone through. So, do you think that that's really sort of made a huge contributor to your performances?
Yeah, it's. I'm not sure, Tony. I really. I'm not sure what it is. Whether it's that, whether it's the training, whether it's the technique. I'm just not sure. I can only sort of describe what I've been doing, and I'm no expert, so it all turned out. It obviously far exceeded my expectations. I'm not, I'm miles off sort of world records and all that sort of stuff, but another thing I'd like to do is to hopefully end up in one of those top 10 lists, but yeah, it's hard, I don't know. That's one question I can't answer, which of all of, what I've been doing, what's actually contributing most to, from my humble opinion, has been a very successful year. So, don't know. Probably, I think that's probably kept things going, you know, it's sort of a long-term maintenance mode in a way, I suppose. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I sort of agree with you, Tony, in terms of just that hauling, that surfing. It's just hard work. You're just pulling yourself up and out of the water on, especially if it's shorter boards and over your life, and lung capacity. You're having to deal with, you know, being underwater for a whole bunch of time and getting back out.
Yeah,
I think it is
very
having
high
really
tempo.
high tempo.
Yeah.
So, just on that, you said earlier that you've got a high tempo. I've seen you swim, your rating's very high.
Yeah.
So taking the surfing of comparison, you're paddling fast in the surf. Have you changed your tempo in the last 18 months, or did you bring that from surfing straight into the pool?
My tempo just really is what it is. I've never really thought about it. So what I brought in was just me swimming, really, I think, yeah.
Because it is incredibly high.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, and even in the shorter races, I think my stroke's a bit longer now, you know, and more going through the water. But I just think, that's what Claire said to me. She said, I want you to swim slow. She said, time and time again, you've got to slow down, you've got to get longer, you've got to, you know. And then she conceded, well, you're just a fast tempo swimmer, you know, so we're going to have to take the bits out of the classic sort of freestyle, contemporary freestyle, and do what we can with it. Retrofit it back into your high tempo, you know.
But yeah, I mean, right through from the 50 those right through, I've seen you swim the 400, you still hold a very high tempo.
Yeah.
And I think most of us, they can't do, we just fade. You know,
Yeah,
we might do
yeah.
it for the first 10 metres up the wall, but that...
Yeah, well that surprised me as well. My, and I'm not big noting here, but my 800 at the World Championships was probably my best swim ever, because I was able to maintain that. And you know, best by my standards, of course. But yeah, I hadn't even bothered with that, but I was really surprised at how long I could keep going. You know, basically keeping a 121 pace was very surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, Claire's been training you on technique.
Yes.
Has she worked with you on the amount of your training program, or just on technique?
I've never trained with her. I've only had 4 sessions with her, but they've been very valuable.
Only 4, I think you said.
Yeah, only 4 sessions. Yeah. Spread out over about a year and a year and a bit. But
So why don't you go to her more often?
Oh, I can't afford it.
Good answer.
But no, I will. I'll go back. She's very good. Yeah, but a lot of it, you know, I do a fair bit of sort of looking at technique on YouTube as well. And I think I can, once I understand what she's saying, it takes a long time to implement. I've got to work on it myself, and she says the same thing. Like that early vertical forearm thing, which I still don't have all that good. When I first started, I thought, this isn't any good. It just didn't feel as though it had any power. You know, you've got to keep at it. You know, and maybe I could have built up the right muscles by doing some training, but I hadn't done that, and I just felt very weak. You know, but I persevered with it for a long time.
When you spoke, I got the impression that you were going to her like every...
No. She was just a purely technique coach for 1 hour sessions. I will go back and get a health check, basically.
I think I'd like to go to...
Yeah.
She's in Surrey Hills?
She's in Surrey Hills.
Which is good for me.
Yeah.
I'm the only one here who's
She's
on the east.
very much on the correct technique, you know. I'm not too sure it all works for me, but she's...
The back of the classroom, please.
So when you're talking about your swim training and build-up, it sounds like you're swimming a lot for fitness, and then as you get closer to the races, then you spend a lot of time at race speed in your sets?
No, I think I spend my time at threshold.
Threshold,
Yeah,
okay.
so for example, the fastest I would swim consecutive 100s, but I probably swim 1 or 2, I give myself a fair bit of rest, would be 1:16 or something, whereas my PB is 1:05, so I'm not at race pace.
Okay.
But if I were to swim a 1:10, this is the odd thing in training, I just couldn't sustain it. I'd have to go out and have a lie down. You know?
Okay.
So that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
So I never really, and maybe I that's one area I could push myself, possibly, is to push myself more into that, what they call VO2 max or sort of type, area.
Ruin.
So, Rob, one of the intriguing things is about your training is that you train on your own, you swim on your own.
Yeah.
So how do you keep the motivation going? I mean, we all train in squads, and if I go and swim on my own, I blush. I really blush. How do you keep that intensity when you just go on your own?
Well, I think it's really setting goals. I swam squads and still swim squads occasionally. I think they're fantastic, but for me, it was more about endurance. At that stage, I decided I was going to swim long distance races, 800, 1500. And I think, so I just wanted to swim more longer distance sets. But what motivates me is I can feel improvements in my technique. That motivates me. It brings me back to the pool. Even doing some resistance training, I can feel it, and that motivates me. But also, so there's two things. One is my technique, and the other one's that just getting fit in the times, being able to consecutively swim 8 100s at a time faster than I could a month beforehand sort of motivates me,
So do you, before you go, do you write, because I train a lot on my own as well, do you write out your set, or do you just go to the pool and then decide what you're doing?
I go to the pool and decide.
See, I did warn you. I warned you all. It won't make sense, and you shouldn't listen to anything he says.
No, I have, as I said in the beginning, I have a whole lot of stuff. It's just the only thing that changes is probably the do I swim 3 400s or 6 200s, and do I swim just a couple of those and then some medleys or whatever? So I mix it up basically, and it depends on where I am in this cycle of reaching peak fitness type of thing.
They also say Rob's really super observant, like in terms of speaking with him and swimming with him, and he's, despite his humble nature, he's goal oriented, he's driven, he watches his every point, he's interested in his technique, he's interested in what those times change, he's micromanaging himself through it all. So even though it sort of sounds all rather sort of haphazard and not like any of us in theory think you're supposed to do it, Rob's a super trainer of himself, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I've never thought about I consider myself to be, like, I think I don't have a lot of discipline, but I obviously do, because I can get down to the pool every day, and I've been very diligent about Lauren's exercises and doing so maybe I am motivated. I think I've quite often called myself a lazy swimmer, but that's only because I'm not prepared to push myself out of that threshold zone up into the next level of intensity, I think, because it hurts.
One thing we didn't speak about, which I thought was really interesting, especially for the freestylers and injury, you said when we talked about injury that one of the keys for you were your lats, that you loved understanding that your lat muscles were the key and it took the pressure off your shoulders. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, so I think that came about through once I started doing early vertical forearms. The funny thing is, just off the topic a little bit, cues, sort of, some resonate with people and some don't. For example, early vertical forearm, people might say, fingers to the floor, lift your elbow out, roll tape. There's a million different ways, cues you could give a person, and only one or two gel with me. But anyway, what was the question again?
Your lats.
My lats, yeah.
Yeah.
So I could feel, and you can even feel it now, you can feel your lats engaging if you're getting it right.
Yeah.
And I think that did take a bit of pressure off my shoulders. Touch wood, who knows what, but my shoulders, I was swimming a fair bit of butterfly originally. I think I had some clicks and crunches in my shoulders, so I settled it. One thing I do remember too, sorry, just
no
topic.
Yes.
I did swim master swimming when I was 29 in 1984, and I've got a certificate here. But the funny thing was, the times weren't all that good because I wasn't training at all. But I swam the 50 butterfly, 100 butterfly, 200 butterfly. So I fancied myself as a butterflyer at that stage of my career.
No training, you're doing 200 butterfly.
50 freestyle and 50 backstroke. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Any other? Yeah.
What equipment do you take to the pool?
So I take paddles, kickboard, flippers, snorkel, and I don't have, the only bit of equipment I don't have, I think, is a float sort of thing, yeah. I don't know why, I just...
And you rotate those things to make that session that you do. You take the equipment on, off.
I do, yeah. So if I were to swim 8 200s first up, I'd probably swim 200 without paddles, 200 with paddles, etc. So I just mix it up, because I find paddles are really good for getting the right feel, and I believe they make you a bit stronger as well.
Yeah.
But the snorkel I would normally use for kicking up. I don't like lifting my head when I'm kicking, and also doing some drills. I don't do a lot of drills. And flippers, yeah, I do. Butterfly, sort of golden kip on my back, and swim a few medleys and all that sort of thing. Yeah. So, yeah, but the other thing I'd say, my butterfly is interesting as well. I think my butterfly has benefited. I particularly focused on early vertical forearm, I think probably just before the Nationals to the Worlds, and that, I think, also benefited my butterfly, I think, as well. Yeah.
Did this lady Claire work on your butterfly at all?
No, she's very confined in what she does. She couldn't help me with diving, turning.
Oh, right.
She's primarily an ocean swimming trainer. She mightn't be the perfect. She was great for me because she slowed everything down and taught me. But really, a lot of it is still me going away and sort of figuring it out.
And how do you know that your technique, you're not losing your technique slightly?
Yeah.
Because if you're not videoing it, or if you haven't got somebody watching there, you can start getting to a couple of bad habits.
Absolutely. I think I don't do it enough, but I think, and we'd all agree with this, if you video yourself, it's pretty obvious in most cases what you're not doing correctly. We went down to DY Pool the day before yesterday. My wife videoed 50. I hadn't videoed myself for a couple of months because I thought things were going really well, but my breathing time was still, really late. I couldn't believe it. So I've been down for a long time.
So you've got a couple of minutes, so you are videoing yourself.
Yeah. And Claire does a lot of underwater video, and I, my daughter, I've got a GoPro, so I do occasionally have a look. And I think it's amazing. We should do it more often, because that feedback, really most people, if they just have a look at themselves, I think they'd say, oh, hang on, like your arm might be coming under your body, or whatever the case may be.
So your time, just coming back to your time, so when you're doing your 200s, for example, you're doing 8 200s or whatever it is, do you prefer to swim them quite hard, but make sure you've got rest?
Yes.
You tend to focus on intent during the swim, but giving yourself good rest.
Yes, correct. Yeah. That's definitely.
Okay.
I wouldn't ever swim hundreds, and I'm not. Squads are great, and that's what I probably need to do more of, because it's going to get me to swim these sets on a lower turnaround time. Because I'd normally, for 100 for example, I'd swim them off. If I'm swimming well and committed to 8 in a row, I'd normally swim them off 2-minute cycle, whereas in the squads you'd probably swim off a 140 or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But you're coming in on round 116.
No, around 120
120
probably in the mode, 121 in the mode on that. That would be, that's my end goal. If I ramp up the amount of training I'm doing and other improvements, my end goal would be to swim half what I swim the next event at.
So when you're doing that, when you finish, do you have any idea what your heart rate is? Do you monitor your heart rate and wait for it to come down for that 2 minutes?
No, I don't. No.
Just how you feel.
Yeah, it's just I do know if I swim under that, it's not really going to achieve anything, because it's going to totally exhaust me, But no, I may occasionally check, but I've never got a figure on. I don't wear I'm thinking about getting a watch, but I don't wear a watch or anything like that. I used to have one of those tempo trainers, but it broke, but they were pretty good. I found them useful just if I'm swimming 50s, just to set them on 34 or something and just try and, just keep that high tempo.
And that 34 is for 1 hour?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm talking 68, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a pretty high rate.
Yeah. I mean, no, not tempo. That would be the time.
Yeah,
I've
the
never
number
really.
of
Never. I do have a pretty high tempo. I think initially Claire, she's really big on strokes per length and length per stroke sort of thing. I think I was swimming 47 or 48 strokes for a 50, so that's pretty high. I think it's probably slightly less than that now. It might be 46 or something. Yeah.
So you didn't use the tempo timer, did you, in the lead?
No, I did it initially. I used it to slow me down, basically. You know, so the tempo was to slow. The tempo timer was to slow my tempo down, so I could think about what I was doing. But that just didn't. You know, that's against my nature.
So, any other thoughts? I mean, my having swum behind Rob, and you know, he's got an amazing machine. You know, I think we all know the deal. Part of it's the blessing of the structure that you've got here and the brain that marries it and the technique that he had from 16. So, I wish we could all just hop into the pool and do our own thing and end up breaking that many records. But no doubt it takes a lot of hard work, especially on your own. To your point, I could no more train on my own. I can do one squat a week on my own, and that's it.
I'm just not a good schedule person either, you know, to roll up at a particular time. Because I sort of go when I feel like I
Love it. Yes.
What have you done with all your gold medals and your record certificates?
Straight to the ball.
They're stored away. Yeah, they're stored away. But these ones are here. That's my ones from 61 years ago. I just dug them out this morning.
Wow. I was wondering if frequenting water hazards is what kind of made you think about going into swimming again.
It is
in golf, you know.
The
water hazards
well,
kind of made
that's
you
right.
think about swimming.
That might have had something to do with it as well.
So I know you're still doing obviously butterfly. And you've done very well in your butterfly. Are you going to stick with butterfly? Are you going to come over to the dark side and do breaststroke? Come on, Rob, you can do it.
That breaststroke, that's a dark art. I can't. Not a very good breaststroke, but I will. Yeah, I enjoy swimming butterfly. I swim a little bit. I've got sort of two modes. Sort of survival mode and fast mode.
Yeah.
The butterfly, when I first started in 2022, my butterfly was absolutely all over the place. I've been watching a few videos of people swimming 15 metres underwater, and I thought that's what you're supposed to do, and so it's a bit better now.
Cool.
Just one thing, just going to your successes, all of us think about what do we do, what do we eat on the day of a race or before a race or just around that, and all kinds of opinions are out there. So what you experience.
Yeah, I normally, if I was at the Nationals, for example, I'd have some muesli and yogurt and fruit for breakfast. I don't eat a lot, but that's typically, and I wouldn't eat a lot. I'd have a few muesli bars for lunch or whatever if that was the case. I eat well, but my daughter tells me I don't eat enough protein. And can't live on Wheat Bix and bananas and a bit of beer.
Yes, Laura.
So race day, what's your mindset behind the block? So obviously you've had great success. Something's working for you. Are you calm? Are you actively making yourself calm? Are you thinking about what you have to do? What's the process?
I have a process which is just, I think, going through the process calms me. Although the World Championships were fantastic. I really enjoyed that. It was good fun. I went with my daughter. We had a great time, but that's pretty intimidating sitting in those sort of lines. My rival hasn't turned up until the last minute. Is he not going to turn up? This is great. I just go through that process, even down to when I put my cap on, when I put goggles on. I get nervous before a race, but I've just figured out a process. I sort of try and get in a few
And are you thinking
Rest.
about, like, if it's a 200, are you thinking about, okay, on the third 50, I'm going to do this? Or it's
Oh,
just...
absolutely, yeah. It very seldom, the execution of that plan very seldom works. But yes, I do. 200, I write it down beforehand. I write down a note on what I'm going to think about. I thought you were sort of talking about getting off the block, but the race itself, I'm quite meticulous when it comes down to how I execute a race. It doesn't always work, but the first one might be take it slow, keep your structure, all that sort of stuff. So many breaths, particularly in a 50. Now I go through all that sort of planning, but getting off the block as well. You've got to think about all of that, and So I do think about the race itself a fair way beforehand. Yeah.
What's your warm up on those days? You're doing much dry land stretching? How much do you do in the pool?
I do a little bit of stretching, but mostly in the pool. I used to do a lot of warm up, even 1.2 k's or something. Now I'd probably just swim about 600 metres, I suppose, or 700 metres, just to loosen up, backstroke. It all depends on what I'm swimming, but and do some couple of 50s, trying to hold my breath a little bit, just to all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Not a lot of science behind it, but
Rob, just in regards to, I noticed your hands your fingers you keep separated. I struggle with that when I'm in the pool because I've heard that that's faster, but I always end up having my hands like tight. Especially in butterfly. So do you think that makes a difference?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I'm not sure. I would just generally have my fingers slightly apart, I think. It's one of those things I was focusing on for a while, because I think what it does do, it relaxes you. I think if you've got your fingers slightly apart, I think generally your stroke will feel a lot more relaxed. Well, mine, from my observation, all of this is just my observation, of course, but I find the major benefit of that, and apparently it is better to have them slightly apart, but I just find it relaxes. It gives you a better into the water, as opposed to jamming.
Well, thanks, gang. I mean, most of all, obviously, thanks to Rob. And I mean, I think we'll all take something different, I suspect, from the chat today. But I think underneath all of Rob's easygoing nature, low-key nature, I'm guessing you've all nonetheless sensed that there is great thought, great intensity, and great focus on all aspects of what's happening here. So it's not by chance, it's not haphazard. He hasn't got there by luck. So thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you again to our fantastic presenters. For anyone that does want to get Rowan's book, it is on Amazon.
It is.
Your Story, Superpower. As a thank you today, though, we do have a copy of Rowan's book.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great Sunday.
Yeah.